Yes, a very good evening to you tuned into UBC TV. We thank you so much for choosing us, following all our programs, and welcome to this week's edition of UBC One-on-One with Michael Jordan Lukomwa. We discuss variety, like I always say, and we look for those people that have first-hand information about whatever topic we choose to discuss on this program, and the information must be of value to you, your family, community, our beautiful Pearl of Africa, and the world at large. Now, we are still mourning lives of our dear people, and more painfully, children, students of Lubiriha Senior Secondary School who died in an attack by assailants that came in the night during the last weekend and cut them into pieces, bombed at them and things like that, and we lost lives there. This is not an issue we can just look at and let it go. We need the public to know some facts about it. The suspicion is that this group was the ADF. What is this group, and can we stop it? Anyway, if we can stop it, how? That is the concentration of our discussion this evening. And I think I had the best choice of the guest, a senior leader nationally, a senior leader in the area, that is Kasese, and this is where he comes from. We've had him on this show previously, but for this particular topic still, he was the best choice, and I'm sure we are going to have the best of the information. And again, he was once Minister for Defense in this country for some good time. So whatever we're going to discuss about that attack in terms of analysis, the kind of situation relating to this attack in Kasese and the group that we suspect to have done this, I'm sure he has first-hand information. His name is Dr. Crispus Kiyonga. He is a former ambassador for Uganda in China, former Minister for Health, former Minister for Finance, former Minister for Defense. So when I talk about seniority, I am very right. Doctor, we are so happy to have you on the show once again. Thank you so much for accepting our invite and request to talk to you.
Thank you for the invitation, my good friend Lukomwa. I always enjoy interaction with you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Give us a picture of the situation in Kasese. Our people must be. Yesterday, one of the stories that we last heard from our reporter on the ground, he said in a market, he was in some market, the name I've forgotten, but he said the transactions the traders are saying are not as normal. So our people must be still in kind of scare and a little traumatized. Could it be the situation, even in your view?
First of all, let me start taking advantage of this interaction to once again convey my sympathies, my condolences to the immediate relatives of the people that were killed in this massacre, but also generally to all Ugandans, because the people who died are brothers and sisters of other Ugandans. My deep condolences. Just to demonstrate the heinous nature of this attack, I will not go yet into the details of the 37 children. When it happened, I was in Kasese, but in the Kasese town side, and I heard at night, and in the morning I went to site. One of the places I went to was hardly half a kilometer from the border with Congo, in the rural part of the Mpondwe Lubiriha Town Council. I went there because they told me a lady, a woman, age estimated at around 100, had been killed 100 years. So I said, I want to go to that house. And I went there. He said, where is the house of this lady? Small hut. I went and entered and found a pool of blood by her bedside. The bed was there intact. Down the bed, pool of blood where she had been murdered. that someone 100 years who was already demented, people said they would never know what she's saying. But you see, these terrorists, that's the type of person they went for. So my condolences to the people of Uganda, to the people of Kasese, following this tragic massacre.
Horrible incident, very horrible. So what is the situation like currently? I want us to start from there.
Well, now, of course, people are still...
In fact, our reporter was at Mpondwe Market.
Mpondwe Market.
Yes, and he said people were a little terrified.
Naturally, when an incident like this happens, first of all, the number of people massacred in one night. Two, the kind of surprising entry of these elements into that part of Uganda. So people say, we've been thinking this thing will not happen here. Now it has happened. In fact, for the past 4 or 5 nights, a number of people are not sleeping in their houses. Some have shifted, relocated to other relatives elsewhere because of the shock. They think anything can happen again. So it's not surprising that yesterday, Tuesday, is market day, that at Rubiriha the attendance of the market was light compared to the usual pattern.
Kasese has been that area that has been victimized by ADF acts. Why? With your experience as former Minister for Defense, what do you think makes Kasese prone to the acts of the ADF?
Actually, one could say the start of ADF is from Kasese, is from the Rwenzoris. As far back as 1989, up in the mountains of Kasese, in a place called Kitoru, up in the mountains but neighboring DRC, the so-called forces of Nalu stood for National Army for Liberation of Uganda. That's what they used to call themselves. On 9th October 1989, from nowhere they came, found ordinary people in the evening and killed 9 of them, massacred 9 of them at that point. I was here in Kampala, we heard about that, and me and General Muhwezi. General Muhwezi was then Director General of Internal Security Organization. We went to see the situation. Now, those elements who killed those people then retreated into eastern DRC and incubated there. That
as security here started to pursue them, they retreated into the DRC.
No, immediately they carried out the massacre. They went into eastern DRC and camped there. That time, they either before the attack or after the attack, they obtained cover and sympathy from former President Mobutu Sese Seko. That's how they incubated in that area. They built up their force. Then some fundamentalist elements knew about their presence here. They organized from massacre, from go either direction.
When such groups emerge, sometimes they are able to put up claims of why they are forming up to start subversive activities. Did the Nalu throw any message anywhere of as to why they were coming up to start killing people and do such activities, plus the people that joined them?
The founder of Nalu was one of our brothers there in Kasese called Amoni Bazira, who has since passed on. He was a deputy minister in the second UPC government. So when they were overthrown,
1980-85,
when they were overthrown, different elements were trying to reorganize and attack the government in place. Hence, National Army for Liberation of Uganda. So that's what they were trying to do. But as I said, the Nalu now got taken over by the formation of ADF. Grew in two directions. One, radicalization. By radicalization, we mean organized people get into the minds of others to change their thinking, to harden them, to make them believe into a different ideology, into a different way of life. Just to demonstrate that, in 1997, ADF captured students from a school again in Kasese called Chibura. It was a seminary, a Catholic seminary. Took 21 children. 10 died, 11 came back, brought back by UPDF. So one of them, who is now very active, helping government, is from my village. He had been forcefully taken by ADF from Chiburara Seminary. So when UPDF found him in Beni, and they wanted to bring him, he fought. He didn't want to come back.
They had indoctrinated
Precisely,
him.
he fought them, but they overwhelmed him and brought him back here. Someone who had been captured, his mind is changed, radicalized. He's now more loyal to the other side. So he comes here. Then I called him to my office. And I told him that Mukuru was their boss.
Jamil
Mukuru, that we had captured Jamil Mukuru in Tanzania and we were going to get him back. This boy who had been brought back still told me, he says, it's not possible to get Mukuru. You see the power of radicalization. He says, sir, what you are telling me, they have told you a lie. You can't get Mukuru. Of course we got Mukuru. So you see the power of radicalization. They get people, they preach into them, they over time give them literature daily until they radicalize them. So radicalization has been one arm of the ADF. But secondly, and more seriously, is that ADF is now part of the internationalized, radicalized terrorism. So ADF, as we speak today, is part of Al-Qaeda, is linked with Al-Shabaab. I suspect even with Boko Haram. So Boko Haram, LRA in the Central African Republic, down here ADF, they are now elements of ADF in Mozambique as we speak. Then up to the Gulf.
Doctor, is that suspicion or
No,
there
these
are
are
facts?
ADF now is part of the Al-Qaeda network. So
How do you tell?
one, we have evidence of their supplies. how they get supplies through the Al-Qaeda network. Two, there are elements of Al-Shabaab who have been found in the camps of ADF in Eastern Congo. Three, I think the UN is either has inducted or has already listed ADF as an international terrorist group.
Yes. So that's why you're best to say, you're best to connect them with the other bigger internationally known Al-Qaeda, terrorism networks.
Yeah.
So it is the Nalu formation that makes Kasese the most victimized place for the group.
Yes, the Rwenzoris. I think then we widen it because they kidnapped children from the seminary. They killed so many people when they attacked us in 1996. They are the ones who burnt children in Kichwamba, in Kawarole, killed many other people in Ibundubujo. They've caused mayhem really in the Rwenzoris. But also here, attacks here in Kampala. Most recent one were the ones of last year when they almost reached parliament. Yes, that is radicalized ADF, part of the Al-Qaeda network.
What do you think has allowed these groups to grow for all that long? Because when you talk about 1989, that is over 30 years now. And the group has now become that the activities are persistent over 30 years.
Very good question. I would say what has enabled them has been two things. Number one, in the initial stages, some governments through their presidents either being aloof, not concerned, or giving them cover. I have mentioned the case of DRC. Mobutu gave cover to ADF for a long time. But also having ungoverned species. Because that has been the biggest problem. Rwenzori, yes, but partly because Eastern DRC, most of it is not governed, is heavily forested. That's an appropriate place for people who want to organize terrorism. Because why is ADF not in Tanzania in that formation? Why is ADF not in Kenya? Even now in South Sudan, Kony used to be there, but he's no longer there. Because there you had effective governance and people, the governors had the correct orientation. So number one was some governors like Mobutu giving cover to elements like this. Number two, acting individually.
On whose part?
Type of thing alone. So like Uganda, yes. Uganda, through President Museveni, has always talked about regional integration, regional cooperation, as a way not only to liberate ourselves socio-economically, but also to provide security to ourselves. It's now very good. Now we are progressing to hear that now Uganda, we are in Congo 1 as a Ugandan force working with the Congolese force, and like during Mobutu's time, the Suja operation is Uganda and the DRC. But also, additionally, we are in Congo as part of the East African regional force. So you have Kenya with a force in Congo. You have South Sudan with a force in Congo.
As a mandate?
Yes, mandated by the community. You see the benefit of regional cooperation. Burundi has a force in Congo. These are new measures, new formations, new way, more effective way of fighting this. You can't just fight it alone as Uganda.
But besides, Your Excellency?
But even where we have reached, we need to make more progress. Because as I have demonstrated, ADF is now part of the Al-Qaeda network.
It is not
Boko Haram, LRA, ADF, and on to the Gulf. So therefore, we need to progress our cooperation from East Africa. Let's also link up with our brothers and sisters in West Africa.
Previously, we have had still operations to hunt for the ADF in the Congo forests a number of years. I remember the Kisangani stories. Still, we were in those forests to hunt for the same guys. Those are days when I was a primary school pupil myself. I'm an old man. This is a group that's still disturbing peace in this country. So what is that other secret? Because yes, we have forces in the DRC now from all the region, but even then, times ago, there were forces hunting for the same guys. What is such thing so special about them? Currently, we even know that the man said to be their boss, government has him. Yes. So what is so special about them that even with all the forces in the forests to hunt for them, even with their boss in the coolers, the group is still active, causing mayhem?
Yes, 2 or 3 things.
Actually, right now, there is no government covering them. The President Tshisekedi is collaborative. All the regional governments are collaborative. So what
collaborative
is collaborative to allow the UPDF in the forests? Yes. So what is that special thing with the group?
You see, I've told you the story of Mobutu Sese Seko.
Yes.
Who either looks aloof or actively supported for a long time. You see, the longer you leave these forces to grow, the more powerful they become. So that's Mobutu. From Mobutu, we go to
Kabila Senior.
Joseph Kabila. Yes. Not senior stayed too short, but his son, Kabila,
Kabila Jr.
who took over.
Yes.
It's amazing. I cannot count even how many times I was sent by President Museveni to go and meet him. And he would invite me right into his house. We would sit one-to-one. I deliver the message. We discuss, thinking that we are going to take action.
The problem persisted.
No, our brother Kabila would just tell me we shall act, we shall tell you when to come, but he never takes action. So that gave more time. Again.
After the Mobutu government that covered the wrong guys,
Yes.
the Kabila Junior government was willing to collaborate but not taking action.
No, was taking us to the garden path. They were not committed. They were not telling us the truth. They were not committed. They were taking no action.
Could they have been collaborators as a government?
Possible. But also, they are not working with us. But also, they are not effectively managing the area.
So that is another factor that has helped the group to grow.
Precisely.
How about the claims that there are collaborators within our brothers and sisters in the Rwenzori areas?
Have a war, not just Rwenzori. If you ask me, in Uganda, where is ADF recruiting from? Most of the recruits now are coming from Mayuge in eastern Uganda. They are coming from Bugiri. You see that? For any group of insurgents, these terrorists that we hold, you will actually find the people of the Rwenzori are minority in the groups we hold. Most of them have come from eastern Uganda.
I've ever been to Bondibujo and in a chat with the local, he said those guys, you will see him riding a bicycle, you will find him in the market. And so people know that these are rebels.
No, in their work, any guerrilla warfare, any terrorist work like this, you recruit. It's not just that you bring people. You work in the area to have contacts because that's the only way you can know where the government forces, where the civilians who are pro-government, are people vigilant. If you come at 11 p.m., are they in the bars? You can only get that information by recruiting within that population. Yes, you may bring the operators from outside, but you must recruit in the local population. Otherwise, you can't succeed.
So it is true they have people that loiter within our towns in Kasese, Bundibujo and the Rwenzori areas.
There are people who have been recruited, you may call them collaborators, yes, but who have been recruited, have been convinced by these elements, either through ideological orientation or radicalization, or through bribery, who give them information, who guide them. Yes, they are there in the population. Not only in Rwenzori, yes, here in Kampala, in Mbirizi, in Mayuge, they are there.
How have we taken good use of this information as security system of the country, as government? Because if this is known, how have we taken good use of the information to see that we get hold of the problem?
I think really the government has done very well, in my view. You see the nature of the population now of our country. Rate of employment in Uganda is 40%. For every 100 employable people, only 40.
It is only 40 that can find a job.
The young people are the majority. People under 30 are over 70% of our population. That is fuel for problems. So therefore, it means the way government is handling the population is effective. Otherwise, we would be like Somalia here. They would be fire. But the situation still needs more effort. So far, what is going on, working with other East African community countries, as I am saying, we must persist, and I hope that President Tshisekedi will not
That's what we are going to look at.
will not change his mind, but we must advance our cooperation
That's where we are going
to our brothers in Western Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
After this short break, I want us to give a look at what can really be the way forward to see how we can really get hold of this problem and see whether we can really solve it. A number of things that can be done. With your experience, I am assured of the best answers. To you watching, we are still mourning those young lives, future ministers, future doctors, future important people who were killed in cold blood by the suspected ADF.
No, not suspected. They confirmed.
They confirmed ADF, okay. So what can we do to curb the problem? That's the discussion we're having here. Let's take a short break, enjoy that cup of tea, but do not go anywhere.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
She is our family's pride, and as her father, I will protect her from child marriage and talk to her about the dangers of teenage pregnancy. We each have a role to play in empowering our teenage girls to protect them from child marriage and pregnancy, because when we empower them, we empower our nation. Protect the girl, save the nation.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sawuti 116.
Ebiseera by'okuzaayo abaana mu masomero tebiteekwa kukaluubiriza n'akatono. Eno kusimba nnyiriri mpanvu, kano kalippagano ka bidduka. Simanya kuzunga na banka siripsi. Kati osobola okusasula school fees z'omwana wo ate n'okola n'ebirala ntoko ku ssimu ye ey'omu ngalo. Ekikola kyangu nnyo. Nyiga bunyizi *185*8 ogoberera ebikulagiriddwa oba okozese app ya MTN Momo. Ate kati okola ki olwaleero? MTN Mobile Money Uganda Limited erungamizibwa banka enkulu eya Uganda.
UBC One-on-One with Michael Jordan Lukomwa. We are trying to understand the ADF problem in Uganda after losing lives in Kasese, not it being the first time, but a number of times. Not only in Kasese, but different parts of the country, and all attributed to one group. So, can this problem be really solved? That's where we're going with this discussion, and my guest is Dr. Crispus Kiyonga, former minister, former ambassador, and a senior leader in this beautiful pearl of Africa. Doctor, welcome back from the break.
Thank you.
I want us to take good use of your experience as Minister for Defense. Even in the other ministries where you were, at least you know how cabinet works, but having been Minister of Defense, you know how security works and how advanced we are by the day. Do we have the capacity to curb terrorism, in specific the ADF problem, and totally end it in Uganda? And how can we do it if we are to go for that?
The first point to note is that now ADF is part of the international radicalized terrorism network. We must keep that in our mind. And therefore, it stretches from West Africa, that network, through East Africa here, up to the Gulf. So, it cannot be fought by Uganda alone. It cannot be fought by East Africa alone. All of us.
It's now a world problem.
It's a world, but mainly an African regional issue. African regional issue. I'm emphasizing regional African issue because, like, if you look at Congo, the whole world saw that there were problems in Congo. They put a UN force who were being sustained by $1 billion a year. UN force. But until we went there as Uganda, now as East Africa, nothing was happening. So we in the region, in East Africa, in Central Africa, in West Africa, must work together and be prepared to work long term. This is not a one-day issue. Long term and be multi-pronged. First, we must constantly ensure that our population understand the nature of the war and the part they can play. Secondly, the governments must work together, relying on ourselves, not foreigners. Because we have armies all over the place. What are they doing? UPDF is in Congo. Nobody is paying us to put people in Congo. That's why we created the UPDF. That's why there is a Congo army. That's why there is Burundi Defense Forces to defend our people. So there is a problem. It's not bound in one country. Let's work together. A good start has been made in the case of East Africa. This needs to be sustained, to be enhanced, to be further coordinated, particularly with West Africa. And we shall finish this problem.
What do you think? Because that is what I exactly see. The West African countries, I think mainly Cameroon and Nigeria, have had a lot of problems with the Boko Haram. Besides the girls that were abducted, around the 200, they again hit on the Catholic Church. Up to now, they still kill reverend fathers and priests and all that. In Nigeria, in the north and the southern part of Cameroon, those people have a collaboration, but still the problem is still persistent. When you come here, then the ADF and that network that you were talking about, how do they beat our security systems as countries? And how can the security systems up their game to this problem? Because when you look at the attack in Kasese, it must have been planned for some time. With the deployment of the UPDF at the borders and all that, police stations in the area, how do these guys beat our security systems? If you're to compare again with how priests are killed in Nigeria and things like that, how do these networks beat the security system, the networks that already know that we have a terrorist threat?
I wouldn't describe it as beating our security system. The ADF, as I have said, is part of an international regional network for terrorism. Terrorism means you surprise, you hit hard to intimidate and instill fear. It's easy to find gaps. The people should not think that when you have army, you have police, that you can't have gaps. All over the whole world, even in America, you are there, a whole school is attacked. Not by an army of ADF, just one individual with a gun, he goes and shoots.
Shoots over 10 people.
Yes, shoots people. So the most important thing is understand the nature of a problem and adopt appropriate strategy to deal with it. In the case of ADF, until we strengthen, we advance our collaborative effort in East Africa and link it to West Africa, we shall continue getting these unfortunate surprises. It is very easy in the population. It's very easy to plan and go and cause a problem somewhere. So we have to go to the source. We have to undermine the very foundation of these radicalized terrorist forces. Radicalized and terrorists. I've told you, a boy was captured. The UPDF finds him. They want to bring him back. He is refusing. He wants to stay on the other side. Yes. So our public, apart from the army is working together, this we now have also the public to raise their level of alertness, their level of vigilance. Through you, the informers, the people on the TV, on the radios, I think you must organize more and more discussions. Public media, what is terrorism? How does it work? What is the role of the armies? What is the role of the population themselves? And then we shall be home and dry.
Do we have a history, world over or in the African continent, where combined forces have managed to sit on terrorism or acts like that?
The history in which we are going, if you see, take Somalia. Yes. Somalia, they used to have a government like us. Now they have. But by the time UPDF went there, the Somali government had collapsed. Under Al-Shabaab. Now there is a government in Mogadishu. Yes, we are still suffering attacks by Al-Shabaab. Yes. We need to...
Would you say they have a government like we have, like Kenya has, like Tanzania has?
Yes, when they had nothing. These people collapsed, had nothing, you know, soldiers. That is one. Two, in Somalia, the other...
I've watched a video of the late General Okej, may you so rest in peace, saying the president was begging me that, sir, please come and pick me from here, the president of Somalia. Are you talking about a government like that, doctor?
Yes, from, you see, before there was no government, there was nobody to go to who was saying I'm president here. So eventually, with the help of Uganda mainly, a government was established in Mogadishu. But of course with the still structural problems. In Somalia, like here, we have tribes, but here there is some level of nationalism. There in Somalia, people's loyalty are to sub-clans. Not even clans, sub-clans. Yes. Me, Kiyonga, I'm of sub-clan X. That's where my loyalty. When the problems happen, I go to my sub-clan. Very, very unfortunate. At least here you can say I'm Mwacholi, I'm Muganda, I'm Mkonzo. That's a little more advanced. Yeah. But here in Uganda, I see the feeling of Uganda nationalism growing. That's very, very, very good. If you see the army, everybody is there by way of recruitment, but also training, so that people with the capabilities. I was telling some people in the village that don't think that General Mbadi is there because he's a Mukonzo. No, Museveni is not giving positions according to tribe. You get your first chance at recruitment, and everywhere there is recruitment. Therefrom, it is your individual performance. Are you disciplined? Are you courageous? Then you will go up. It doesn't matter where you are coming from. So we need to do that in some of these states. And we need to share experiences. Earlier on you said, why has Boko Haram persisted so long? Yes. To fight that type of warfare, you can't use the approach of the Western world. You can't. You need, it is a special school. I saw someone discussing UPDF in the newspaper. It says now the old people of the UPDF, NRA are retiring. These remaining ones may not be able to the task, no? The school system, the training system of UPDF passes on that experience.
When we talk about an issue, we broaden a little to look at a number of things. In a spell of 3 months, we have had incidents that connect with security and insecurity. We lost Kano Engola, a gunshot. In just a week or days, there is an internet somebody, a blogger on the internet, who was still shot at in Chanja. Then we have had robberies, gun robberies. There is a video I saw in Masaka where they are now attacking shops. Yesterday there was a video of a shop being attacked in Mubende. Guys come on borders with guns, shoot at people, shoot in the air, everybody scatters. If you insist to be there, they will shoot you, collect money and run away. Then in the same spell, the attack on Kasese. What does this tell you about the kind of security, the state of security in Uganda currently?
The state of security in Uganda on the whole is still good, is still excellent.
With such incidents?
So, yes, it's still good on the whole. If you want to see that it is still good, I can take you to Somalia, you will see the difference. I can take you to Eastern Congo, you will see the difference.
You see, Doctor, the state in Somalia started in a way.
No, I've given you 3 examples. I can take you to Somalia, I can take you to Congo,
yes.
I can take you to Sudan.
The situation there also started in a certain way.
Yes, but I'm now comparing now because Uganda has not come to be today. It's as old as those states in terms of independence. So here, the security situation is fairly good. Why? We are able to travel day and night. Why? Investors come and invest. Why? Tourists are coming. It's true that of recent, one gets the picture that the supply of guns in the population is above comfort level. I think that is something that has to be worked on. I think these guns have to be picked. Pick these randomized guns, but also gun control. There is something called gun. You are a police force. You are an army detachment. How do you control the arms? How do you control the arms? Arms, if there is no control, people will be attracted to make mistakes. And incidentally, you see, the other problem I think which is going to get into our security, if it hasn't, is the problem of corruption. Once corruption is widespread, like the way it is now in Uganda, it's going to affect security. Because what does it mean? It means a security person is going to hire out a gun to get money, you see. So systems, but also systems, yes, including farm gun control.
In fact, there is suspicion that probably maybe some of these robbery activities, people have started suspecting that maybe we have indisciplined people within our security systems that could be perpetrators in these.
That's true. They have arrested some soldiers, UPDF. They have arrested some police people. That's true.
What does that say about our system, Honor?
It says two things: that we need to tighten the command and control, and therefore the control of the guns, but also work on the end of what motivates people to commit crime. In economic terms, each time you have economic difficulties in a community, in a population, the temptation to commit crime goes up, just as a force responding to the difficulty. Yes. And as I told you, that now our rate of employment is 40%. 60 don't have formal employment. Poverty is still high, including in the town. So the forces that tend to push people to commit crimes are strong. So measures being taken, and this we must commend and support, measures like the presidential initiative on skilling people, teach them hairdressing, teach them tailoring. This is in the right direction, speaking people at that end. Measures to provide more openings for employment. I have heard the president, for example, mention that doctors should now be employed as low down as the health center 3. Yes. The health center 3 is the health center at the sub-county level. That's fantastic. We have more than, we have close to 2,000 sub-counties. If you put like 3 medical doctors plus associated auxiliary staff, clinic officers, nurses, midwives, that not only improves service but increases employment. But at the end of the day, we must grow the economy at a faster rate than now. I saw the minister talking about 6.5%. The economy of Uganda can grow even 10%.
What do you think is not being done right?
If I give you an example like agriculture, the agricultural sector is still largely dependent on the peasants, ordinary people, on their own. On their own, they struggle even to buy a hoe. They struggle to get seeds. More importantly, to be reached at the doorstep with how to improve themselves. I agree 100%. So if we do that on a large scale, production can go above 10%.
Because somebody who cannot access resources to afford a hoe definitely cannot produce to an extent of exporting.
Not only exporting, to an extent of being food secure for himself. To have 3 meals. Eat some wolo in the morning, eat some matoke, cassava plus beans, and eat kawunga in the evening. That's how it should be.
But to take you back a little, you talked about how to improve financial income generation. When you look at our civil servants, especially our people in the security line, if they are tempted to go hire out guns or even involve in activities of the sort.
That's why you must have control, command and control. I must commend our security forces, particularly the UPDF, not because I was Minister of Defense. UPDF, we have situations, even now, we still have situations where a soldier stays years on end without getting leave because of duty, without getting leave. We had situations where the soldiers, he would retire, go home, and we were having two problems. The formula we were using to calculate the pension was so disadvantageous. You would calculate and you find someone is supposed to go home with like less than 500,000 shillings, who has worked for 15, 20 years. Now that formula has since been improved. When you go home, you're able to go with some good money. Areas, people who went home and were not paid, now are being paid. So I commend them, because if you see the amount of, if I take you to 1991, we were forced by the World Bank to reduce the size of the army from 100,000 to 60, either to 60 or 40. Yes. And we sent tens of thousands of soldiers who had been working for a long time with very little pay into the village with nothing. You didn't hear any problem. They went and started defending for themselves piece of land, and he starts working on it to feed himself. So they have been really well disciplined, they have been well controlled. Yes, the temptations are there, and if the situation is not relieved quickly, they will go up. But as of now, I think the command and control has worked. Progressive efforts to improve pay and conditions of work have been paying us dividends. But as the President has emphasized, and I agree with him, that when we are building our systems, let's remain low cost. We are a poor country. If you are going to build a police force, you are going to build a police force which is enough to cover the whole country. The police force, actually, in my view now, should not be at sub-county, they should be at parish. Every parish should have not less than 10 police people. It means now our police force should be like 100,000 people. So if you are to have 100,000 police, you have so many soldiers, and you pay them highly, you can't manage. Where will you get that money?
You see, the public has concerns, yes, that there are people who don't serve them directly, yes, who are paid very well, exaggeratedly well, yes, than the people who serve them directly, such as police officers, the UPDF men and women, teachers, nurses. So
compared to who? Who are they quoting?
Compared to your friends, politicians.
Okay, we made a mistake in the Constitution, that I can admit. I think it was a mistake to write in the Constitution that members of Parliament will decide their pay. You can't be a judge in your own situation. I think we need to change that provision in the Constitution. We should have one body which serves all of us, which sets the salary, so that when they are setting a salary for MP, they are also thinking about the teacher, yes, they are also thinking about the soldier. And this is where again you continue commending the soldiers and also policemen. They know, they see who is getting how much. Like that man, I don't know why they arrested him. There was a man, I don't know, he's a driver of the Chief Justice.
Yes, yes, like yes, yes.
The one who said they pay me 200. I don't know why they arrested him.
So many people were unhappy.
It's good he makes an opinion. And then you call.
He would have misbehaved in a different...
Yes, they shouldn't have arrested him.
We have 3 minutes to leave this set, Honorable.
Yes.
But now, because our topic was so much on the incident that happened in Kasese, yes, you said this is now a big network and we have to handle it like a
big
international network.
Yeah.
So handling it calls for attention from the whole world, the region, like that.
The region, not the whole world.
Okay. No, you mentioned Al Qaeda and it goes to the world there. But having agreed with all that, as Uganda, what can we do currently to at least be safe?
The orientation of our people, the thinking of our people. Because I already see, even my friend Onyango Obo, he lives in Kenya. Yes. No, he used to be in Daily Monitor, now he lives in Kenya, but he is a Ugandan. I saw him this morning in the newspaper, he wrote in the Daily Monitor, that our people should come back, the soldiers, and make a war at our border. That's a mistake. That's wrong thinking. As I have demonstrated, this is a regional war. Therefore, it must be fought regionally.
But as Uganda, before the region comes in,
people must stay. Our people must stay as part of the force in Congo, and if necessary, go beyond, even to West Africa, together with others.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. His name is Dr. Crispus Kiyonga, a senior leader. Yes, I describe him that way because indeed he is. Former Minister for Finance, former Minister for Health, former Minister for Defense, former Ambassador of Uganda to China. A big economy like that. So he's a really senior leader. And up to now, he still serves as a consultant. And I love the objectivity, Honorable. Because you say suspicion about security people being involved in robbery, you said yes, they are indisciplined ones. Very objective, and I think that is so good for a senior leader. Yes, those are his views and the first-hand information he has shared with us about the ADF and the attacks. Very, very, very appreciated. That is all we had for you this evening. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa, and with the whole team here, wish you the best of the evening. We pray for the best for our country, and like the religious people say, may God's hand touch the hearts of those people that really do this bad to us. Enjoy the evening. Bye-bye.